provided by Ryan Tavan, the founder of Emergence.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something really quite intriguing. It's a platform called emergence. Imagine an AI system, right? Designed to forecast lottery numbers. But it's got this really human, almost philosophical angle to it.
Okay.
It's all built on this idea of emergence. You know, the concept where lots of simple individual actions, like, say, your own unique lottery number, guesses, when they come together, they can generate these incredibly complex, insightful outcomes.
Yeah.
Stuff that no single person could predict on their own.
Right. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts sort of thing.
Exactly. And here's the real kicker right from the start.
Yeah.
It costs absolutely nothing. Zero. You don't pay a cent to join or participate.
Really. Completely free.
Completely. And get this.
Yeah.
If your guesses, as part of this collective brain power, actually help lead to a winning ticket, you get a direct share of the prize money.
Wow. Okay. That's a strong hook.
It is. So our mission today is basically to explore how emergence actually does this, how it takes individual intuition, mixes it together, and turns it into this potentially powerful collective force for predicting chance. We'll look at how they gather data, the AI they use, and how the rewards work.
What's fascinating here is, well, how emergence is trying to grab this principle of emergence, something we see in nature, like bird flocks or even in markets, and apply it to something that feels totally random, like a lottery.
Right. Seems counterintuitive.
It does. It's this really bold mix of high-tech AI and, basic human behavior. It kind of pushes the boundary on where we might find patterns, or maybe just hints of patterns, in what looks like pure randomness.
So for someone listening, how do you even start? How do you get involved?
Well, that part's actually pretty straightforward.
Okay.
You just create a free account on the Emergence platform, email, social login, the usual stuff.
Simple enough?
Yeah. Once you're set up, the system lets you know when new lottery events are coming up. You get like a push notification or an email.
An invitation to guess, basically.
Exactly. An invitation to submit your number guesses before a certain cutoff time. It's designed to be quick, easy.
Yeah.
Get lots of people contributing their guesses.
Building that data pool.
Precisely.
Okay, so you signed up, you're getting invites. Now, how does the system actually collect the intelligence? What happens when you make a guess?
Right. So you pick your numbers, your combination,
Yep.
and the system automatically logs some key context behind the scenes. It grabs the exact time you submitted the guess and your general location, like from your IP address or phone GPS if you're using mobile.
Ah, okay. So numbers, time, place. That's the raw data.
That's the basic input, yeah. That flows into what they call the ingestion layer. But then here's the clever bit. After the actual lottery draw happens, the AI steps in. It compares your guesses to the winning numbers and gives each of your entries an effectiveness score.
Effectiveness score. So not just win or lose, but how close you were.
Kind of, yeah. It's about how well your intuition, your guess, aligned with the actual result. And this creates this feedback loop.
Okay.
The more you participate, the more the system learns about your guessing style, your patterns maybe, and it naturally builds this dynamic leaderboard. You don't enroll in anything, it just happens.
So the system starts ranking people based on how effective their guesses are over time.
Exactly. It's like participant-driven data just emerges organically from people just doing their regular guessing.
Interesting.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this initial data gathering, as simple as it sounds, it's really the foundation. It starts tapping into that wisdom of crowds idea.
Like Surowiecki wrote about.
Exactly. But emergence seems to be trying to go a step further. It's not just averaging everything out. That effectiveness score you mentioned, that's crucial. It's like a filter, isn't it? It suggests that maybe some intuitions or some people's guesses, when you aggregate them and refine them, might actually hold a subtle signal.
A signal that just looking at raw numbers would miss.
Potentially, yes. It's about finding that signal within the noise and then kind of refining the collective wisdom, not just accepting it wholesale.
Okay, that makes sense for the numbers themselves.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a human element earlier. This is where it gets really interesting, right? This micrology thing.
Ah, yes, micrology. This is the next layer they're planning to add, and it's quite ambitious.
How so?
So Emergence has this sister system, micrology. The plan is to integrate it to gather much deeper insights. We're talking mood, maybe even personality traits.
Mood. How do they measure mood in relation to lottery guesses?
Good question. They're planning a couple of approaches. One is through short interactive questionnaires, maybe video-based,
Okay.
asking things like, how were you feeling when you picked those numbers? Or about the context around your choice.
Oh, self-reported feelings.
Right. But also, and this is where it gets more advanced with user consent, of course.
Always important.
Absolutely. Migrology aims to capture what they call mood proxies passively, using data from, say, wearable sensors.
Like fitness trackers. Heart rate variability, maybe?
Exactly. Things like heart rate variability, maybe even patterns in how you interact with your screen, subtle indicators that might correlate with your emotional state.
Wow. So they're trying to link emotional state to lucky guesses.
Well, that seems to be the hypothesis they're exploring. This raises an important question, doesn't it? Can your mood actually influence chance? Or maybe just our perception or approach to guessing.
It's a wild idea.
It is. What's fascinating here is the potential to map these, psycho-emotional signals directly onto the guesses people make.
To see if there are correlations.
Precisely. Looking for connections between emotional states and, let's call it chance effectiveness. There's some conceptual background here, thinking about work like Damasio's on emotion and reason in decision-making.
Right, the idea that feelings aren't separate from rational thought.
Exactly. But, the challenge is huge. How do you accurately capture these mood proxies? How do you make sure it's meaningful data and not just, noise?
Yeah, distinguishing real influence from just coincidence seems tough.
Very tough. How emergence plans to isolate that signal. That'll be key to watch.
Okay, so let's say they've collected all this data, the numbers, time, location, the effectiveness scores, and now maybe even these mood indicators from migrology. What happens next? Where does the AI really kick in?
Right. So all this diverse data gets funneled into the AI engine. The first step is what data scientists call feature engineering.
Feature engineering.
Meaning, think of it like preparing ingredients for a recipe. Each piece of data, the numbers chosen, the location clusters, timing patterns, and crucially, these potential mood or personality vectors. They all get structured into distinct features that the AI can understand and analyze.
Right. Ingredients for the prediction.
Exactly. Then comes the core prediction part, the deep learning forecast. They use a type of AI called a recurrent neural network, or RNN, maybe an LSTM or a transformer variant, something sophisticated.
Okay, RNNs. Those are good at finding patterns and sequences, right?
Yeah.
Over time.
Precisely. They're powerful for dynamic data. Think about sequences of winning lottery numbers historically, or maybe how a participant's mood features change leading up to a guess.
Ah, okay.
So this network trains on huge amounts of historical draw data and all the participant feature data we talked about. Its goal is to output probability distributions over the number combinations.
Basically telling you which combinations seem more likely than others based on everything it learned.
That's the gist of it, yeah. Mapping the likelihood. And then comes the final, really pivotal step, automated purchases.
Automated, so the system buys tickets itself.
Yes. When the AI identifies a guess submitted by a user who has a high effectiveness score.
Someone who's been lucky or effective in the past.
Right. And if that specific guess corresponds to a number combination that the AI's probability distribution flags as having a high likelihood above some set threshold,
Then what?
then the system automatically purchases a lottery ticket for that exact combination. It uses integrated lottery APIs to make the buy.
Wow, so it really closes the loop from someone's intuition, maybe even their mood, through the AI to actually buying a ticket.
It does. It bridges that gap between raw human input, collective analysis, and automated action. It's a significant step.
Yeah, no kidding.
But this also raises an important question.
I bet I know what it is, the randomness.
Exactly. Lotteries are fundamentally random, right? So how does the system make sure it's not just acting on, say, false positives, or rewarding someone who just had a lucky streak rather than tapping into genuine collective intelligence?
Yeah, how does it filter out the pure luck?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Combining all this data, especially the emotional stuff, with AI is powerful. But distinguishing a real emergent signal from the inherent noise in a random system, that is a massive challenge.
Okay, so huge technical challenges. But let's talk payoff. For the person participating, you said it's free. What's the incentive? What happens if a ticket does win?
Right, the what's in it for me part. And yeah, first point, worth repeating. Absolutely free to play. You submit guesses, emergence handles the platform costs.
Okay.
Now, performance. We mentioned the effectiveness score. There's a dynamic system here. After each draw, if your guesses were closely aligned with the results, your score goes up. You climb the leaderboard.
And if your guesses were way off?
Your score might go down. So there's promotion and demotion based on performance over time.
Okay, leaderboard position matters. But what about actual money? If the system buys a ticket based partly on my effective guess, and it wins.
That's the core reward loop. If any ticket purchased by emergence wins a prize, the system keeps 50% of that prize pool.
50% for running the platform, the AI, buying the tickets.
Presumably, yes. The other 50% that gets allocated back to the participants?
How? Just to the person whose guess triggered the purchase?
Not quite. It's allocated proportionally based on everyone's cumulative effectiveness score. So the higher your score, the bigger your potential share of that 50% pot.
Ah, so it rewards consistent effectiveness, not just one lucky guess.
That seems to be the design. And if your guesses were part of the pool that contributed to a specific winning ticket purchase, you'd receive a direct payout from that allocated share.
And getting the money out. Is it easy?
They say it is. Users can apparently withdraw their winnings balance via PayPal anytime. The goal is prompt payment for the lucky contributors.
Makes sense. Keep people engaged.
Exactly. And there's more on the engagement front too. Gamification.
Yeah, leaderboards, badges.
Yep. A real-time dynamic leaderboard showing who has the highest effectiveness scores. And tiered badges, bronze, silver, gold that you earn as your score hits certain thresholds.
So visible signs of your luck prowess.
Huh. Yeah, luck-based prowess is one way to put it. They also mention optional social features, so you can share your rank or badges, maybe stir up some friendly competition.
Keeps people coming back, contributing more data.
That's the idea. What's fascinating here is how this whole reward system, clear incentives, totally free entry, the gamification, it all seems designed to motivate that ongoing participation.
Right, and reinforces the collective aspect. Everyone's contributing to this pool of intuition.
Yeah, it really drives home that potential emergent power of collective chance. But, it does make me wonder.
Go on.
This idea of luck-based prowess and leaderboards, it's interesting framing. But we are still talking about random lottery draws at the end of the day.
True.
So how does emergence reconcile that fundamental randomness with the idea of a somewhat skill-like leaderboard? And how do they ensure enough wins happen consistently to actually fund that 50% prize pool for participants? Seems like a balancing act.
A very tricky balancing act. So let's try and wrap this up. What does this all mean, bringing it all together?
Well, emergence is basically trying to mash up this cool concept of emergence with some really cutting-edge AI and all this human behavioral data, even mood stuff.
And crucially, offering it completely free to the user.
Right. The core benefit for you, the listener, is pretty simple. If your intuition, when mixed with everyone else's, helps the system pick a winner, you get a piece of the action. You direct payout.
Yeah, every part of it, signing up free, guessing, the mood tracking with micrology, the AI buying tickets, the 50-50 split, it's all geared towards amplifying that collective luck and rewarding the people who contribute effectively.
It's a really remarkable experiment, you have to admit, trying to harness distributed human insight in such a direct way.
Definitely.
And this raises an important question, I think, for all of us to chew on.
What's that?
What does a system like this really suggest about the future? If we can use crowdsourced intelligence, maybe even tapping into intuition or emotion via AI, in domains we always thought were purely random, like lotteries, what does that mean? Could this blend of human gut feelings, psychological data, and smart AI actually start to redefine what we mean by luck or chance?
Could we find hidden patterns where we thought none existed?
Maybe. Think about the sheer power of collective intelligence. If it can be harnessed like this, even for something like a lottery, what other frontiers could it tackle? What other seemingly chaotic systems might have hidden structures that collective human insight amplified by AI could uncover? It's a fascinating thought.